Absolutely. All right.
God bless America. What a great week.
It has been a great week. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get to some burn barrel. There we go. You go over there. You go over there. Oh, there's my son making noise. All right. Where would you like to start, Alice?
Well, I don't know. Seth Moulton, Senate leadership battle.
Ugh.
What are you? Okay.
Well, the Senate leadership battle. Go ahead. Go into it because
So Tucker's drama creating, I think. Don't you get the sense that he's like just bleep stirring right now?
he might be.
Because this is sort of what happened is he tweeted out saying like we need to have Rick Scott be the new Senate Majority Leader and not John Thune or John Cornyn.
Right. And so now Rick Scott I always thought was kind of the pansy from Florida.
I never thought he was that great. So it was interesting because, I mean, obviously Thune and Cornyn are big, like, establishment-y, like,
right.
You know, not MAGA at all types. Rick Scott really isn't either.
No, I thought,
So,
he
like,
was kind of a square.
He did red flag laws in Florida when he was governor and, like,
Which
all
in
kinds of
theory,
stuff.
by the way, in theory, I could understand. It's just there's
Yeah,
no
I'm
way.
not necessarily... He's just not, like, really strong MAGA, like, far right. He's just not. He's, like, a kind of establishment-y guy. But I guess he's also, like, unpopular in the Senate. So I don't understand exactly what the deal is here, like, what the angle is. You know, Trump's kind of not... It's considered bad form for Trump to, like, directly weigh in on who should be the Senate majority leader.
He wouldn't do that then.
He hasn't yet. Susan Wiles may be telling him not to get involved in this mess.
Can I just tell you something?
This is like a Senate mess. But basically what's happened is Tucker has started this drama and told people Trump's not going to be able to do the MAGA agenda unless they have Rick Scott. Rick Scott's pretty unpopular in the Senate, and now he and a bunch of other conservative influencers on Twitter have essentially sent a mob after the Senate telling everybody to call their senators and demand that they vote for Rick Scott. It's a secret ballot. You're not going to be able to know what they're doing. So hard to say,
So the core of this is right. They're afraid that Trump can do some recess appointments.
Yeah, but it doesn't actually matter unless he's going to lose more votes because that's the recess appointments.
If the Senate votes him down, if his own guys vote him down.
Right.
And the thought is that McConnell, or not McConnell, but Cornyn or John Thune will convince senators to vote Steve Bannon and Sebastian Gorka down. You know, guys like that. Of course, it's not going to be guys like that. But that's
you have 53 votes also. So plus you have J.D. Vance if it's a tie. So it should be doable. You know, like this isn't...
Actually, do you have two J.D. Vances? Or just one?
Well,
because
they swear in the new Senate first before.
Sometime in December?
No, it's like January 5th. And then the first thing they do is January 6th is they tally up the electoral votes.
Right. Okay.
And
so
then
J.D. Vance gets to be Senator Vance in the 5th in Vice President-elect Vance. No, actually, it would be Kamala.
Yeah, Kamala should do it. Unless it's possible they could move her. So this is the other thing the left is pressing for, is they would still like Kamala to get the consolation prize of being the first black woman president. And so they would like Biden to step down now. I mean, obviously Biden should have stepped down a while ago. Like, it's not actually really debatable whether or not Biden should still be the president right now. He definitely should not still be the president right now. But to do it at this point after she lost is like so embarrassing and bad. And like,
it's an insult. It's such an insult. So you'd have this weird asterisk. Like first, it's not, the idea is to be elected first. It's not to be just appointed first during the lame duck session. That is such an insult, and that although that would tell you the power of the pander in this Congress, and that would like in for the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
and if it's there, if that like the power of the pander is so strong, still. The historic first, even though that's got no meritocracy involved, etc.
Well, the fact that
then you know that they have not learned a freaking lesson, and that's going to be a reckoning. The civil war that the Democrats are going to have with them.
She ran a flawless campaign.
Chris Murphy is going to have to go to war, and Seth Moulton will have to go to war with these people, these as Rush would call them, symbolism over substance people, who are just about sloganeering and feels and all that stuff. And that's where the Democrats have to do work, because this woke stuff did them no good. No good. You can have some bitch on CNN say, no, I will not have you use a slur. It's not boys and girls. No. But those people need to be sidelined, jettisoned, catapulted
they're
away.
not ready for that, obviously, because look what's happening with Seth Moulton right now, right? So, and I sent us one of the clips of audio of him talking about this on MSNBC, because I think this is fascinating, this battle that's happening. First of all, I think he's very, very obviously making a play to be a nationally known figure.
Same with Chris Murphy of Connecticut.
He's trying to carve out space for himself to be like a Fetterman, who's seen as somebody who's a Democrat, but one who like gets it, the working class issues. He's not beholden to party leadership. He's certainly shown that he's willing to buck party leadership, what with like trying to get rid of Pelosi and different things. Who's the other guy that he pals around with? The like redheaded guy. I think he is. Remember they like snuck off to Iraq or to Afghanistan together or something.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
I forget. Anyway, like he does like across the aisle gimmicky things. Like he's tried to stake out a position for himself as a moderate. He certainly is like Mr. Veterans Issues, right?
Yeah, I don't know where this Moulton stuff is.
Okay, I'll resend it to us. But he certainly is Mr. Veterans Issues. And
wait, he's not Moulton isn't just Veterans Issues. But there's been a couple of times, first of all, we like him. For what reason, Alice? Midwives.
Oh, he stuck up for the midwives?
He stuck up for the midwives.
Well, they're still gone.
Right, they're still gone.
So it didn't really work.
But despite what you will say, if you read the accounts, he did some real close combat as an officer. And obviously he's a guy that was looking to build his legacy. He's a Kennedy, essentially, the waspy Kennedy of the North Shore. Every second street up here is Moulton Street. He's an old wasp, but he was looking to resume build. And he did it in a badass way. So I think that's got a lot of people's. Yeah. I mean, he is like totally full of it in so many ways. We went down and visited him in Washington D.C. when I was with the Herald, and he had all his he was a hardo. He's got everybody in his office has to stand up. Nobody can sit down in his I could sit down, but his staff has to stand up. It's really hardo, like military was, And he was saying he knew nothing about, and this would have been, maybe it was the Benghazi stuff at that point, but he was saying he knew nothing about any of these scandals, the Benghazi, the guys on the roof, and they're like, oh, I know, I'm not familiar. It was like a half-assed dodge, but still he had us in there, and he talked to us, and it was time. But he could feasibly come off, and especially since he looks like such an angry dad that kids messed up his lawn. It could work. I don't know. I know he's intelligent, so maybe it'll work for him. But
I don't know. I feel like the clip. I'm having trouble finding the clip again too. The tweet must have been deleted. But anyway, so Seth Moulton, he recently said in an interview that he thinks that he has daughters and he doesn't want them to be run over by somebody who's male or formerly male on the other team playing a sport.
Exactly. Here's a little bit of that interview.
Saying they spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. Then as part of that argument, you told the New York Times, quote, I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. I know that you have put out a follow-up statement.
So wait,
I do want to give you a chance to
explain
explain your comments because you know they have faced backlash. So,
because this is actually this jumps ahead in the story a little bit, because then the head of his campaign quit. The party iced him out of stuff nationally in terms of his committee assignments or whatever, their Washington stuff. The Massachusetts Democratic Party is disavowing him. People were protesting at his veterans event today. There's enormous backlash, and I've seen it online in parent groups too, when people have been talking about you know, how Massachusetts is so, well, it was actually on a Massachusetts parents group. Somebody was asking which towns in Massachusetts to move to that are LGBTQ friendly because they need to escape some red state where them children live in fear. So they need to run away to safe Massachusetts. And a bunch of people were saying, like, don't judge us by Seth Moulton. We actually are a very welcoming community, all that stuff.
That is, like, regardless, and he's being opportunistic, obviously. I think that he sees that his, like, glide path in Congress is coming to an end. And so, I can either try to make hay out of this or not. That said, it's kind of useful work that he's doing right now. To gauge, take the temperature of the state. I mean, if you're
the Democratic Party in this state are not ready to have someone say boys can't play girls sports.
Right.
They're where that CNN host is saying, I will not sit here and listen to transphobia. There are a bunch of calls for him to resign in Massachusetts right now. To resign from Congress.
Right. For saying what's obviously true.
Yes. And at a point in time when it's become clear that this was nationally an issue that's very, very bad for Democrats and is hurting people's views on, like, regular gay rights, like gay marriage. Yeah. And people's views on things like that are backsliding to where they were, like, more, you know, before the gay marriage decision, because specifically they're pushing this trans stuff too far into obvious absurdities.
Yes, in the a lot of the impetus for a lot of this comes from European health bureaucracies who have been spending 20 years working on this stuff, and that is where, you know, obviously the influence came for Democrats, modern Democrats as well. They always like to say in Europe they've shown that this is working. It's not happening anymore in Europe. To the scale it was, they've hit the brakes and hit reverse and said, there's a nightmare scenario in which we've been cutting off breasts here for no reason, guys. And it's unfolding like that. Obviously, what we always knew to be true. And
now Tommy in New Hampshire points out he's passed legislation that would let boys and girls sports. Megyn Kelly slammed him today, saying he's late getting to this issue, all of this stuff. It's very clearly, like you say, opportunistic. Like, he is not doing this out of some, like, highly principled. He's taking the temperature, like you said. And what he's discovering is that his party is not ready to hear this yet. So now I think you should play this other clip of him today.
There's another clip?
That's the one that you started to play?
This is a 9-minute clip.
Well, yeah, but you were just getting to the part where he responds, because he is not so far sorry.
Okay.
You've got the floor.
Sure. No, thank you, Alex, very much. And look, I was just speaking authentically as a dad about one of many issues where I think we're just out of touch with the majority of voters. And I stand by my position. You know, maybe I didn't get all the words exactly right.
Oh, come on.
But the point is that the backlash I've received proves my point that we can't even have these discussions as a party. I mean, the chairman of the Massachusetts Democratic Party wouldn't even return my phone call. And we've got to be able...
What is that, by the way? Any idea?
Yeah, I read it in one of the articles about this, but I forget his name.
Well, to have these debates. But instead, we have a wing of our party that shames us, that tries to cancel people who even bring up these difficult topics, and frankly, shames voters. This is the same group of people who told us to defund the police, who told us that there wasn't a problem at the southern border.
This is what he's attempting to do now, is become a Bill Maher Democrat.
Yeah, or like I say, like a Fetterman Democrat. Fetterman is very left on a lot of issues. He obviously endorsed Biden, endorsed Kamala, but he has taken no end of bleep about the border stuff, about the Israel stuff. He's been right there on a lot of issues so this is Seth Moulton attempting to gain some of this notoriety, to be the guy who's not afraid of his own party leadership, to be the guy who's not afraid of the activist far left wing of the party. I'm the reasonable, good, anti-establishment Democrat.
And to have these blue-haired, nose-ringed harpies dive on him,
it bolsters his cred.
It's a good way to fertilize the green shoots of this new attempt at creating a populist Seth Moulton.
Yeah, and now Andy Kim, who you remember, he's Mr. Blue Suit guy.
In other words, he picked up some trash in the Capitol wearing a suit and then donated the suit to the Smithsonian.
So he's a guy who, when he got elected before, he was one of few people who won in a district that Trump won. And he asked his voters to talk to him about why. And now AOC has done the same thing because she did much better than she has in the past. And her district swung heavily towards Trump. And so she said, like, she put it live on her Instagram and said, like, I want to hear from you guys if you voted for me and you voted for Trump, because there was a big percentage of people that did that in Brooklyn. I want to know why. And the answer is almost resoundingly for both her and Andy Kim was, you're a real person. You talk to us. You're not like the other politicians in DC.
Interesting.
You're, and I think, so rather than, and I do think MAGA can overplay their hand here, because I don't think many voters necessarily view their vote as an endorsement of any particular policy positions. I mean, to an extent they do. I think people want the border to be better. I think they want the economy to be better, but they don't necessarily have a really great detailed policy view of how these things should get there, right? Like, a lot of voters are voting on vibes.
Yeah.
And Trump has not a politician vibes. Right? Somebody like AOC has not a politician vibe. And I think, that's the kind of thing Seth Moulton came in on. That was his origin story, right? He was the underdog who defeated John Tierney, who was been there a gazillion years, corrupt guy going way back in Massachusetts politics. And Seth Moulton is Mr. Moderate, not a politician, fresh face, served his country, etc. Not Washington, D.C. establishment. And that's been the vibe he's kind of tried to cultivate. Now, Massachusetts, it doesn't matter that much because once you get elected, nobody ever opposes you again, basically. But I think it's clear that if he were thinking about whether or not he'd get a primary challenge and not thinking about, moving onward and upward, I don't think he'd be doing this right now.
No. So what this does, career-wise, this is smart because he can't, there's no way for him to grow without making a move. If he makes a move and loses, then he can be the third rotation on the 5.
Mm-hmm.
And be the clear-thinking Democrat that people won't switch the station to avoid.
Right.
They'll countenance him,
and,
we'll stick around. And I guess that's the move. I mean, and if people suggest or saying oh my God, he's being a political whore, it's yeah, he was 4 years ago too.
They all are.
Yeah.
This is how this goes.
They all are. Yes, they all are. You're leaning into cars when you're in elected politics. It's just part of what they have to do.
Yes.
I mean, so I want to move along here. Although I talked about this on my radio show, a lot of people are talking about this teacher in Connecticut, Annie Dunleavy, who's just one of these people who's lost their minds, and did a TikTok where she says to people on TikTok that she's going to get revenge. This one seems to have resonated for a lot of people. To me, I'm so used to these psychos that I'm just...
It doesn't even seem unusual. They just all act like this.
No.
And people of color and poor people and gay people and all the people that I care about aren't going to be safe in America. Neither the are you guys. Just because you won doesn't mean we don't remember who the you voted for. You're not in the clear. And just please don't test your gangster on me, because you will end on a stretcher, gone forever. So serious. Nobody can talk to me unless you want to swing. If you want to fight, text me, call me, whatever. Anybody else, stay the out of my face. And if you voted for Trump...
That train is not coming to kill you, by the way. That's behind Annie Dunleavy.
Literally, please delete me, block me, get rid of everything of me, or step to me so that I know what's up and I can handle you how I see fit. Please just come forward. We know. Just tell me. Or leave. Please. The door.
What possesses people to record themselves making threats to people?
Vodka, probably. That's probably a big factor in this. I mean, she's a teacher in Connecticut, and it's whatever. I mean, I'm like, if you were to ask me the number one occupation of people making these kind of movies, I would say teachers, because they're the ones who feel most entitled to kids and their gender journeys and all the other things. The kiddos.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, certainly, if this were a conservative saying the same thing, but in a conservative way, the Connecticut FBI branch would be at her house wanting to have a chat.
Of course.
You know, we're not. This is not an investigation. We just wanted to talk with you. Okay. Meanwhile, they're setting her up. But that doesn't appear to be what it is. It doesn't. I mean, whatever. She's neither here nor there. Should we do the chat?
I feel like I might have had like one more thing.
Good. That's very good, because I don't have anything.
Really?
I don't. I don't want to do the chat either and screw people. But I just there's no. I don't think there's. What do we have here? What do we send each other today?
Can you do the 60 Minutes piece where they talk to the restaurant owner?
BTW. Chris Wallace and CNN have parted ways.
Oh wow.
Here we go. 60 Minutes. Here we go.
Yep, 7:30 we opened, 7:30 to 10. Yep.
Roz Werkheiser was a waitress 25 years ago. Now she runs the place.
My mother used to always say, gotta vote Democrat, they're for the poor people.
You grew up in a Democratic household,
Yes,
but you just voted for Donald Trump.
yes.
Inflation is down by more than half. Interest rates are falling, mortgage rates are falling, wages are going up. Are you not feeling that?
I don't feel it. No, I don't feel it. I don't feel it at all. Everybody I talked to, nobody's wages went up. But we had 4 years of this. I mean, 4 years. Gas was super high. Yes, it just went down now, but the past 3.5 years it was up.
Oh, it's two things. My take are two things on that. One, the rebuttal. Do you want a second crack at this question? Because things are better than they were.
You don't feel this because
Right.
the inflation is down. Your wages are up. I know what's in my bank account, sir. It's this perception on the left that Trump voters have just bought into some dumb narrative and that they don't know how much money they have or how well off they are is, I mean, I hope they double down on it for 2028.
Yeah.
That would be good if they continue to espouse this view that the economy was great under Biden and they did a really great job, because they're never going to learn anything ever, apparently.
Meanwhile, the left is starting to circle the wagons around all of their prosecutors.
So the tension you described that the New York Times reported on within the transition team was described to us as a battle between the normies and the crazies, although, of course, the people we're talking about would disagree with that characterization. We focused on a couple of lawyers. One's named Mike Davis. He's a very conservative, kind of a bomb-throwing provocateur who used to clerk for Justice Neil Gorsuch. He's an advisor to the transition team. And he has been out there publicly saying that Donald Trump should prosecute people like the Attorney General Tish James and Jack Smith, the special counsel, that his Justice Department should do that. He's actually articulating which crimes they should be prosecuted for, and he's making no bones about that. The other person we talked about is Mark Paoletta. He is the former general counsel of the Office of Management and Budget in Donald Trump's first term, and he has been out there not specifically advocating that the DOJ should prosecute individuals, but he is justifying the idea that the president can order the Justice Department to investigate and prosecute specific cases. So he's laying the legal groundwork. Now, the thing about that is that would violate 5 decades of norms post-Watergate, which said that the Justice Department should be independent from the president, that the president should never say, go investigate that person. These people are suggesting that Donald Trump should be able to do that with his Justice Department. And as a legal matter, they're right. We're talking about norms here, not laws, these post-Watergate strictures. And so it's raising a lot of questions and getting a lot of people very nervous. The one thing I would say is we should wait and see exactly who gets appointed to these roles and what exactly they're going to do, because, it's very easy for people to throw rhetorical bombs at this stage of the game. We'll have to see exactly what happens.
But they're trying. You know what I'm getting the feeling so far is that I'm not getting a feeling signs that the American people, by and large, other than fringes and hardcore, pussy hat wearing people, I'm not feeling the sense of panic.
No, I think, and we talked about this with your brother the other night too, because I was saying I think it's essentially like less broad but deeper. It's like with COVID where
Right.
people just started to act normal, but the people who were still really into wearing masks and enforcing like vaccine rules and social distancing were like the really crazy ones.
Yes.
Like, do you remember when they made Ashish Jha the like COVID czar?
Yes.
And he was saying like it's safe to like trick or treat as normal this year, and they were like, "How dare you? This is so irresponsible of you. Kids are gonna show up at my door hacking COVID all over
and
me."
he was a wacko too.
Yeah. So, but like he eventually reached a point in like 2022 when he was like, "We can now back off of this. It's okay. COVID."
Right.
And there were people like, "The pandemic is raging. The hospitals are overflowing with people." And like, so those people, this is now where we are with the election stuff and the like Trump fascist stuff too, is it's like most people have opted out of this
Yes.
because it didn't come true last time and they're just living their lives and it doesn't really affect them who Trump appoints to what in the Justice Department. Like they just don't care. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like nobody cares about Letitia James's case and the classified documents and like nobody, it's such like inside baseball stuff. And unlike when the Rachel Maddow show was like in 2017, that was like cereal for people.
Yes.
Or Orange is the New Black or whatever. I don't even know what people watch now. Outer Banks, right? Like that was the show everybody was into, was the Rachel Maddow like Trump blue anon corruption show. So like everybody was into watching that year. Now none of that happened, and like there's only a few diehard fans left that are still into this weird fantasy thing. Unfortunately, a ton of them live in the state.
Right.
But it's a much narrower slice of the population that is still so emotionally invested in this like pretend world fantasy.
Yes. Somebody I want you to meet, Alice. She is a mother.
Well, it's happening. The family.
This is a mom
Mm-hmm.
of a teenager. And this mom, I'm sorry, Alice, she's really kind of hot. I just sent it to you. So I'm going to side with her in this. But I want
Okay.
your feeling on this take. Her, so you know what it is. Her TikTok handle is trans loving mama.
Uh-oh. Okay.
But she's actually really hot.
okay.
So
Well, it's happening. The family wants to know what I'm doing for the holidays. I'm going to be here with my dogs and my daughter, who is of childbearing age and now has to get an IUD at 17 years old. And I'm going to be here with my son, who is a political target. And that should really tell you all you need to know about why I'm not going to be hanging out with y'all for the holidays. So fuck off. Choke on your turkey. Bye.
thoughts?
You don't have to get your daughter an IUD.
She's got to now because it's Trump, and she can't. They won't be able to get an abortion. She's going to die on the table. And
Heaven forbid, guys can't.
Can't what?
Your daughter, like.
She's got to get her an IUD now. And she's got
It's like such insane behavior.
her and her
I have
son
to
are-
enable my
and her son
underage child sex slave.
and her son is politically targeted, which means her son is what?
A girl.
Yes, a confused girl. So there you go. So F you. That's to her family because you guys, some of you probably voted
The
for
thing
Trump.
is, none of this is really happening.
Correct. But once again, what's the lesson that you're saying to your daughter? I mean, she's obviously one of these moms who lets everybody drink at the house and lets the boyfriend sleep over.
Well, yeah, and I mean, what was the lady who was on TV? Oh, it was that West Coast lady, the one I think we played out on the show the other day, who said her 12-year-old daughter is now scared she's going to be raped and
Yeah,
have to carry
that
the
was
baby.
Katie
to term.
Porter,
Katie
yes.
Porter, right? Like, why are you giving your kid this to be afraid of?
Well, right.
If anything, you're less likely to be raped when Trump is president. Are you not?
I would think law and order will be a
Because
thing.
Bill Melugin tweeted out this week that of all the cases of states ignoring ICE detainers, that Massachusetts is the absolute worst. That they release child rapists that ICE has detainers for constantly. He's like, it's like multiple of them a week, child rapists.
Right.
And like we saw one of those news stories earlier this year. It's insanity. Our state is nuts. And you know, it's funny, like, I sent that story to somebody this week, and they were like, why do I feel like I live in a state with, like, aliens? Like, what? Who would be for this? You know, and I don't know, but that's why with the stuff with the deportations and everything, it's like, we can just start with those.
Right.
Like, there's enough of them. We can start with the Venezuelan gangs taking over the apartment buildings, the child rapists, and the people who literally have deportation orders right now that they're ignoring. And then, like, we can move on. But this idea that, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy what our state does. The idea that we're sheltering, like, serious criminals. Yeah, so maybe your kid should be worried about that. But I don't go around telling my kid that they're going to be raped by a migrant if Trump's not president, because I'm trying not to instill in them a fear of walking around outside. It's just like we live in crazy times.
Alice, you're being insensitive, as and Grace 15 is going to have you know.
I just want to say, I know this week has been an incredibly difficult week for.
By the way, I'm also on her side.
For a lot of us. It's been difficult. There's just no words, right? It's an understatement. It's been a lot. What I came on here to say, first and foremost, is that if you are someone who is online right now, commenting, reposting stories, or making fun of the people who are sad this week, or belittling them, mocking them, if that's something that you are actively doing and finding joy in online right now.
I like the kid in the
I'm
background
sorry.
Like,
screaming for
truly-
mom. Why don't you?
Sorry, honey. Mommy's being an internet celebrity right now.
I'm having a breakdown in public, okay? I just put my makeup on for this. Oh.
Just the biggest of these. How
It's a double
dare
bird.
you try to invalidate something that an entire group, multiple groups of humans are going through right now, whether they're feeling scared or helpless. Any of those feelings, as a human, would you laugh at another human when you see that they're obviously struggling?
How tolerant has the left been about people on the right this entire time?
I would say not.
How good have they been? How do they conduct themselves? How do they? We listened to the woman who's now like left the earth, who bought the bottle of champagne, the political analyst, laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh.
Yeah, how dare you be insensitive?
Like, it's just amazing. These people are such bad sports. Such bad sports. But, I mean, that's where we are now. And the thing is that I hope this is, and I think it probably could be, a moment where some people will get smelling salts.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people will. I don't think everybody will, but I think some people will.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think just like with the COVID madness, like the number of people will continue to dwindle down until it's like only the really diehard ones left.
Exactly. Until then, it is the scene in The Unforgiven.
Boss! Hey, boss!
Yeah, what's up, son?
2 more hogs got the fever.
2 more hogs got the fever. Hopefully fewer hogs are getting the fever. All right, Alice, we are we have no brake pads left. It's just the show is just making the metal on metal noise.
Okay.
We have nothing left. We're going to have to. This is a show in which we need the Chat to be the show because we're out of stuff.
Okay.
We're not complaining.
Well, it's a fairly.
Sometimes.
We're over 30 minutes.
Sometimes in life, you're out of stuff. Today's the day we're out of stuff. It's funny with my other show, with the radio show. There wasn't a whole bunch of places to go, but for the weekend, of course, we had all that sound that we played last night on this show, so that it was.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about actually?
No.
The racist texts.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Oh, I want to play the video.
I mean, you can, or I can just explain the story to
You can
people.
just explain the story.
Because basically, a bunch of black people started getting racist text messages. Like, some included the N-word. They often had the person's name, and they would say, like, you know, Tom, you have now been chosen to, like, show up as a slave at the plantation. Like, an unmarked van is going to be there at 10 a.m. Make sure to pack your things so you can go pick cotton or whatever, these text messages. And some emails, too, from what I've heard. Anyway, these were really widespread, like a lot of states across the country, and seemed targeted largely at young people. So lots of like college and even high school students and younger were getting these text messages. It's not clear right now where they're coming from. Obviously, somebody used a bulk text messaging app and bought data like people do for phishing scams and everything else. But it's going to be interesting to see who did this, because I mean, like, I have no clue who did it.
I'd assume it's Kazakhstan or something.
Yeah, my first gut instinct would be from overseas. The person's using a VPN, so they don't have a location on it, at least currently. Some of them don't seem like they're written by somebody whose English is their first language.
Yes.
But it's hard to tell with stuff like that. So who knows? Definitely people are using it as a narrative that, like, see what Trump did? He made people think it's okay to tell black people they're going to be slaves again, which is such, like, jumping to conclusions.
Of course it is.
Like, this is not, somebody paid for bulk data and text messaging software and all this stuff. This is not, like, one rogue person doing this. This is, you know, somebody spent money on this data and whatever. This is not like Tom and Alice Shattuck like pranking all the black people in America. It's not what's happening here. So I guess we'll see who did it and what their end game is, or if it's just to like sow dissension. But as of right now, we don't have any more info about it. It's definitely something that's happening, but I mean, we just don't know right now any more information. And I want to guess that when we know, it's probably not going to be what it's being depicted as.
Agreed. Morgan says about Ann Coulter legs for days. That's correct. I have spent time creeping around her, certainly previously. Oh my goodness, I almost got. She asked, "Is there a man here who can escort me to my hotel room?" From the RNC. And I said, I can take you over there. And I was like, man. I didn't think we were going into the room to have sex, but she wanted
to get to escort
she wanted
her.
a big guy because the Antifa people were throwing stuff. So, and then we started walking, and then she found a better guy to do it. And that was it. That was my
Wow,
my
poor
relationship
you.
with Ann Coulter. But all right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go, Shot Chat. Thank you guys for leaving these messages, by the way. Aces. As usual. I like your uniform, Alice. You look good.
Thank you.
You gonna tell the story right now or on Danny's
I mentioned it already earlier
did,
in the
okay.
live stream before you got here.
Oh good. Here we go.
He's making a list, checking it twice. Gonna find out who's naughty and nice. Donald Trump is back in power.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
Here. All for it. He's got to make a list. Everybody has a list. It's not a unique to Trump thing. Maybe I'll be on the list. I will be putting in a resume and an application for the White House Alice to do the radio thing again. Last time they were foolish. They overlooked it. And they lost re-election. This time, Tom Shattuck will sway it.
Habibis, it's Les.
Hey.
I'm not done gloating yet. I'm going to need at least to the end of the week. But here's a lefty freak out that I don't think you've covered yet. Have you guys talked about the folks that change their profile picture in Facebook or whatever
To all black?
just the all black?
Mm-hmm. I've
So it's
seen a
just
few people
black
do that.
dot or a black square or whatever. That one pisses me off a little bit. And I'll tell you why. And I replied to these folks saying, hey, that looks like The View that an Afghanistan woman has after
Ooh,
Biden abandoned them all to the Taliban in 2021.
very nice.
Come on, man. Love you. Bye.
Leslie, why are you not doing a podcast? She absolutely should be. Goodness.
You know.
Hey guys, just wanted to get your take. I haven't heard a lot of discussion on this, but in 2020, Biden received 81.2 million votes to Trump's 74.2 million. This year, Harris received 71.2, or 10 million votes less, and Trump received 74.8, which is about 600,000 more. So I guess the question is, where'd the 10 million voters go? 81.2 in 2020 for Biden, 71.2 for Harris. Now, you could say people stay home, or maybe Trump was right about the 2020 election. I mean, that's a staggering difference, 10 million votes. Anyway, just thought I'd ask I haven't heard a lot of discussion about that, and was wondering what your thoughts are. Thanks for all you do.
Pleasure.
The answer to that question is mostly that they're not done counting votes on the West Coast, particularly California. Most people who are actually watching counts come in are saying that we're going to end up around like 157 million votes cast compared to 158 in 2020. So there was a little bit higher turnout in 2020. That is for sure. I would say that some of that is them making it super easy to vote in a lot of states, including with like vote by mail and not requiring good signatures on the ballots. Some of that could have been, ballot harvesting measures that were taken that were not taken to as great a degree for Kamala. Possibly some of that was a lack of union support in some of these places as well, because unions are really big into doing some of these efforts. That's like the political machine that got Kennedy elected in 1960, that was, unions are known for that, places like Philadelphia and Chicago and whatever, right? Like, so I do think there were some organizational pieces that happened in 2020. I mean, maybe some of them more legal than others, or more of a stretch of the weird 2020 COVID legality for voting than others. So I think some of that's true. But it is not going to be anything like 10 million votes. Certainly, it will be slightly lower turnout.
Right.
But California's like half counted. It's not. There's a lot of votes there. So, like even right now, Trump's over 75 million and Kamala's at 71.7 million. So it's even it's a few 100,000 more for each of them than it was with those numbers. But yeah, like California right now is, where is it? California has how much reporting? California right now is 75% reported. The West Coast is like stupid. The Oregon is only 87% reported. Washington State is 90% reported. So they're working on it, but they're just not done. That's like the reality is that Trump is higher than his vote total from 2020 already. Kamala's obviously not going to hit that 81 million, but yeah, most people's estimates do have it missing maybe around 1 million votes total across the country. Like, is that enough? Like, could those have been, fraudulent vote by mail or vote drop off in drop box ballots in Georgia and Pennsylvania and Arizona in 2020? Like, I think that's a possibility. Like, could it have been enough? Maybe. Like, could that have been the difference? That's possible. But yeah, like all these graphs that are going around, they're just not done counting.
Are you done with this answer?
Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
done.
Thank you very much. What?
Well, I just don't like false narratives.
Oh no, I agree. No. You don't.
Habibis, the other fun thing I've been doing is warning the lady.
By the way, I have this now sty on this eye, or this like it. I've been scratching it for the last 6 days. I don't even know what it is. but I am 45 years younger than this gentleman, but I now have George Soros's eyes.
I'm sorry about that.
Christ. It's
I think you're so cute.
Thank God for psychosis.
About how Trump is now going to implement Project 2025.
And that's great.
I've been warning about the federal government for several years, so I would think I have some credibility when I tell these girls it already started in 2017.
Ooh.
And the government didn't tell you, the FDA didn't tell you, but this started right after Trump's 2017 inauguration. They started putting the chips in the IUDs mid-2018.
To green light for babies. So they'll have to carry them now. Oh,
yeah, they're going to track your
brilliant.
pregnancies so that they
That's
know.
like the Mossad did with the pagers. Project 2025 has loaded the IUDs to make babies.
Yeah, speaking of which, did you see the stuff about Nick Fuentes?
This is like Milo was worried about him or something?
No, this lady who considers herself like an online Blue Anon influencer. She's like 57 years old, like some cat lady or whatever.
That's old.
She found out where he lives and was making a video of herself. She was trying to make a video of herself, like going up to his door and ringing his doorbell to like harass him and yell at him for making up this like your body my choice like campaign thing that he's been doing. And he opened the door, pepper sprayed her in the eyes, kicked her down the steps and slammed the door, grabbed her phone and slammed the door. So she filed a police report. He's probably going to get assault charges or something because I don't think you're allowed to just answer the door like that. But I don't know if he felt threatened. Who knows?
Rather alpha Nick Fuentes. I wouldn't think he had it in him.
So now, if you try to buy any product packaging of OTC birth control or anything like that for Plan B, oh my God, those little reflective square little tags on those, that's Project 2025 trackers.
Wow.
They've always been on there, at least for the last 7 years.
Wow.
And God forbid if you pay for that with like Apple Pay or Amazon Pay or even a credit card, they gotcha. They can see what you're doing. And I wouldn't trust Jeff Bezos as far as I can throw him. Why do you think he didn't let the Washington Post endorse a candidate? Why do you think he immediately congratulated Trump?
This is good
He's
Leslie.
in on it. He's in on Project 2025. I would not trust to buy from Amazon any sort of like cute packaging for birth control pill or even Amazon Pharmacy. Forget it. Bezos is in on it too. Wait a minute. Oh my God. Who's got Alexa in their house with the open mics?
Of course.
Project 2025, man. You're in trouble.
Well, what about all the male...
See what I did there?
I love it, Leslie.
Love you. Bye.
What about all the young male handsome sentinels who are going and, doing the thing that makes the babies go?
Wow.
What about their training and orientation and all the evil, instruction they have?
Among people on the left that liberals are mad at, beyond just Seth Moulton and Jeff Bezos, they're also really mad at George W. Bush for not endorsing Kamala Harris, as though that would have made any difference at all.
That would have been it, definitely.
You think that would have pushed her over the top?
Yeah.
But also, like, imagine the entitlement of these freaking people. They literally called him Hitler for 8 whole years, said he stole an election. Like, everything that they did to him was like a prerequisite for what they did to Trump. And then they turn around and demand that he help their candidate win. It's like, why would he do anything for you idiots?
Hey, Alice. This little person who pointed his finger in your face and yelled at you with his white privilege, is he a famous local person or a famous national person?
He's a cartoonist. His name's on my Twitter.
I think if I were in your position, even at a friend's party, I probably would have punted him right in the taint. But knowing that he was a leftist white male, he probably doesn't have any chiclets.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, I don't. The level of fame is. I believe he was sent a card from the Dixie Chicks once, and that was what was touted about the room that made him famous. It's tough look. Tough look.
Hey, Tom, Allison, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey,
I
Charlie.
just want to say that when I go into a liquor store, clearly they know I'm there. They know what I'm buying.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. Sometimes they would make small talk. I would talk to them about the state of the employees we get and, you know, how the youth of America, their work ethic, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as an independent contractor on the North Shore, we kind of had the same attitude towards a lot of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really bother me that they knew I was going in there and what I was buying and how many times I went there. Obviously, it's no secret.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do you shop around? Sometimes I'll do the shop around, depending.
Hmm.
And also, I'm mad at some places, depending. It's a whole nother show, different show. The All You Can Eat podcast is back. The new one dropped tonight, Alice.
Good job.
No Alice Shattuck in it, but it was a good episode. Our friend Sap, John Sapichetti. We hit some valid points. Remember, Sap used to own a restaurant, so he knows his stuff. So the All You Can Eat podcast, please enjoy.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Quickly, with all the postmortems going on about why Kamala failed,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what went wrong, one of the things that I've heard is that she, quote, didn't have enough time, unquote.
Yeah.
I think this is a complete falsehood. She got installed in July, and she had half of July, all of August to kind of get warmed up. And the only time that most people really start paying attention to any presidential race is after Labor Day.
Yeah.
So she had prime time. She had all the time in the world.
Yeah.
It was just
She had too much time.
the world's worst campaign with the world's worst candidate. Anyway, thank you.
I totally agree. And like even the fact that they've now like we all know now that they had to pay for every celebrity appearance. So these were like they had to rent these people like at
Oprah's
cost.
come out and announced that that's absolutely not true, that they did not pay her, which of course this is all public. So I guess she's kind of trying to like play with the nuance that they paid Oprah's production company $1 million to
Right.
put on
Oh,
this
that's
town
beautiful.
hall for her, but Oprah's like, I wasn't paid for my endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're like a small dollar donor who was like excited about Kamala being brat in August and you sent her your money for her to give it to Oprah and Megan Thee Stallion and stuff and then lose like that. How embarrassing is that? It's terrible. Don't give any politicians, any big name politicians your money. Like local ones is different, but like,
That money's better spent at the Burn Barrel Patreon, to be honest. There's more influence there. Impact, as we used to call it.
Thank you so much for listening. For more great money-saving tips like these, you can join us on the Patreon live stream. If, of course, you like listening to the show for free, that's another money-saving tip I have. You can always listen to it for free at burnbarrelpodcast.com. There's links to all the places to listen, Spotify.
Are you making any appearances tonight?
Yes, we are. We're going to be on Danny from Billerica's live stream for the veterans that he does every year. It's a tradition. We go to that. We will see you there.
C'est la vie.